The prophecy doesn't fail. Guys, in this video, obviously you can see from the title, we're talking about the handcuffs. We're talking about the Antichrist going to prison. Okay, this is what we are watching for. When we say the prophecy doesn't fail, what we're saying is this is the conclusion of the 42 months. The scarlet colored beast has his power, the son of perdition, that begins when he said, I am the chosen one, the second coming of God, August 2019. 42 months until the present time in which he says, I'm going to be arrested. So, handcuffs, chains, yes, that is actually what we can see in the prophecy as we look very closely. So, that's what we're discussing, releasing in this video. The prophecy becomes more clear to us once we arrive at its fulfillment. Okay, so we didn't know everything. The variables of the prophecy are clearly stated in terms of its dates, where we can see it's Purim, essentially, in the 12th year. So in that time period, we also can see that it's in the time period of the darkness over the beast. This is the time period of the fifth bowl, and that's exactly when Trump made his announcement once we entered year 13. So we had a window of time of this prophecy. It wasn't 1,260 days. It wasn't a date prophecy. It was a month prophecy. 42 months. Trump says he's going to be arrested. So that's falling within 42 months. If it goes after Passover, it's going into 43 months. But essentially what we're getting at is this is a time prophecy. And what it was that we are watching for is detailed in Ezekiel 32. Now, Ezekiel 32 seems to describe the son of perdition in the pit, in hell, in Sheol, okay? So that's our view of what we were looking for. We thought that that meant the Antichrist would be killed, but we're going to look at the symbolism of the prophecy and see that the hook, okay, the chain, we're going to see the pit and the net, okay, the net. All of this is important word association that we see in Ezekiel 32 that actually leads us to the prophecy in Ezekiel chapter 19, which makes it more clear and distinct of what the prophecy fulfillment is, which is handcuffs, prison. The Antichrist is detained in a way that Satan is detained. We know in Revelation 20, it says the angel came down from heaven having the key to the bottomless pit. Okay, the bottomless pit is what? A prison. And he had a great chain. Okay, so amazingly, in similar fashion, the Antichrist is also detained, taken to prison, okay, like a pit, as well in a similar way that Satan is. Okay, so he isn't just immediately killed at the end of his life, at the end of the 42 months, okay, but he does go through a process where he goes to prison, just like the devil is in prison. Now, this is none of your Christian movies on prophecy, but we will see it in Ezekiel. All right, guys, what we want to do here is show you how this is in 7 years tribulation period and what we're talking about with the 14 months. Now we know that the Antichrist, he begins his reign, and that's in year 9. So in year 9 he begins his reign. That's when Trump said, I am the chosen one, second coming of God, August 2019. Okay, at which point we begin a counting of 42 months. Okay, those 42 months would come to a conclusion in the year 12, okay, year 2022. Now, even though it's 2022, it's the Enoch calendar, so February is still in the 12th year. So that's where Purim happened, and you can see our notes here. It says Antichrist killed, but that's what we are drawing as a conclusion from reading Esther and from reading Ezekiel 32. But once we get the actual fulfillment, we watch the prophecy come to pass, we can see that the Antichrist is actually taken to prison. So what we have is we have the, within the 7 years, we get the 42 months. Okay, so we had posted the information as to when the Antichrist begins his reign, all of this well ahead of time, year 2016, and we posted this whole timetable of the book of Esther back 7 years ago, and now, guys, we're watching it come to pass. So let's go to Ezekiel 32. First off, let's explain Ezekiel 32 and Esther chapter 9. They detail the fact that this is the conclusion of the 42 months of the Antichrist. All right. And then the specific date of the prophecy, okay, 12th year, 12th month, first day of the month in Ezekiel chapter 32, verse 1. Okay. And so we're going to look at some bullet points here, but we also want to point out Purim, verse 17, in the 12th year, in the 15th day of the month. Okay, so we're concluding it's still the 12th month. 15th day of the month is Purim. Esther, the book of Esther basically concludes, okay, the events there, but we know that some of those events in the book of Esther, they do go later into the prophecy. For example, Haman has 10 sons. Those are the 10 kings. Those are later in the book of Revelation. Okay, so let's take a look here. I'm going to read some things, and I do have notes, and we're going to go over this twice, okay, to make it clear. First off, Ezekiel, let's go. Ezekiel, read it. Verse 1, came to pass 12th year, 12th month, first day of the month, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, take up a lamentation to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, say unto him, you are like a young lion of the nations. Key word for us. We know Trump is a lion. In Revelation 13, the beast has a mouth of a lion. Okay, this mouth of a lion. He is a lion. He is the young lion detailed here. Of the nations, you are like a whale or a dragon of the seas. Okay, so that's clearly talking about that aspect of the beast, and that, of course, is Trump, the son of perdition. All right, and then we get him in the net. Verse 3, I will therefore spread my net over you with the company of people, and I'll bring you up in my nets. Okay, now this is one of our key words. We're here in Ezekiel 32. We get the net, we get the young lion, and we get the pit. We also get the hook and the chain, all right, which we'll also see. But anyway, what we're getting at is these key words in here in Ezekiel 32, where it gives us the date of the prophecy, these lead us to chapter 19. Now, if we take a look at the Septuagint, and we look at the Septuagint here in Ezekiel 32, we can see that it talks about the hook. Thus says Adonai, the Lord, I will put my net, okay, upon you with assembly of peoples, many, and I will lead you with my hook. Now we're going to see that the hook is related to the chain and the handcuffs. Okay, we're gonna see that later. All right. So again, we have a key word. What? Pit, hook. All right, and these are our keywords here. And then we get the darkness. All the bright lights of heaven I will make dark over you. I will set darkness upon the land. So this is the fifth bowl. The fifth bowl, the angel with the fifth bowl poured out his bowl upon the throne of the beast, and his kingdom became darkness. Okay, so that's talking about the fifth bowl. All right, and then let's keep going. We get the net, and then we get the pit. Okay, son of man, make a whale for the multitude of Egypt, cast them down, and the daughters of famous nations that go into the nether parts of the earth, that go down into the pit. Okay, so this is our other keyword here, the pit. All right, and this is very important for us, because then these keywords are going to lead us, more detail of what's happening here, Ezekiel 32, to actually Ezekiel 19. So let's read it. Ezekiel 19, verse 3, she brought up from her whelps or her cubs to be a young lion. Okay, so here's our young lion, and it learned to catch the prey and devour the men. The nations heard of him, and it was taken into the pit, and they brought him with chains into the land of Egypt. Okay, chains. So again, once again, we get the pit, which is the prison. We get the chains. All right, remember the chains in Hebrew here is an interesting word. I like it very much. It's called ha. It's just a hey, and it's ha, and it can be translated into chains, and it can be translated into hooks. So that's why we're calling it handcuffs. And so this word is used here a couple times in chapter 19. So they brought him with chains into the land of Egypt. And he went up and he lay down with the lions and became a young lion and catched the prey. And he learned the desolate places of the palaces and their waste cities and the land of desolate. Therefore the noise of it roaring, and the nations set him on every side, and the provinces, and they spread their net over him. And he was taken in their pit. Okay, remember our key words before? The net, the pit. Okay, this is the arresting of the Antichrist. And they put him in prison. King James uses the word ward, but the word here in Hebrew is a cage. It's a prison. And they brought him to the king of Babylon, and they brought him into holds. Again, holds here means prison, a snare, a hold. Okay? So, clearly from these few verses, Ezekiel chapter 19, verses 3 through 9, we get the fact that the Antichrist is arrested. He's taken in handcuffs. He's detained. We get the keywords net, pit, hook. Okay. The young lion, of course, the Antichrist, is detained in prison. Now, we'll see, at the time of recording this video, it hasn't actually taken place. Remember, I'm ahead of you. So, time-wise. So, when I post a video, we'll see what it actually looks like. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like. Now, he's got several indictments. So, even if we were watching this particular arrest and it doesn't appear in the media as to what it actually looks like when the whoever it is, FBI, Secret Service, whoever it is that comes to take him from Mar-a-Lago, everything in his team is saying, no, we'll give ourselves. They don't want the cameras. They don't want him handcuffed. But it may happen. It may be in the prophecy. We'll see. We'll watch what happens. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen, guys. We're just saying, okay, this is the scriptures talk about this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of a review of the prophecy. We're going to show you how we've been talking about this for 7 years and make clear some of the things that we just mentioned about the details of this prophecy. All right, here's our notes. If you are enrolled in the school, we will send these to you. The lion, handcuffed and in prison. The young lion with the mouth of a lion, Revelation 13:2, and we read Ezekiel 32:2. O son of man, take a lamentation for Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and say to him, to the lion of the nations, you were likened to a dragon in the sea. Recall that on the day of Purim, we were watching, for this prophecy be fulfilled. Ezekiel 32 verse 1 came to pass in the 12th year, 12th month, first day of the month, verse 17. And it came to pass in the 12th year, in the 15th day of the month. That's Purim, And we see that he was going to be taken in a net. Thus says Adonai, the Septuagint, verse 3. Thus says Adonai, the Lord, I will put you in my net by assembly of peoples. I'll lead you by my hook. Handcuffs. Thus, this hook we could consider to be handcuffs, as they are described as hooks and chains. We see hooks in Ezekiel 29:4 as the Hebrew word ha, translated as chain in Ezekiel 19:4. They brought him in chains to the land of Egypt. Verse 9, and they put him in ward, in prison and in chains, and brought him to the king of Babylon. Now, the imagery here is likened unto Revelation 20. Revelation 20, I saw an angel come down from heaven having the key to the bottomless pit, which is a prison, abyssos, and a great chain in his hand. And they lay hold on the dragon, the old serpent, the devil, Satan, in the abyssos for 1,000 years. Well, we also have the fifth bowl taking place, and we see that in Ezekiel 32, verse 8. I will point over you darkness, says the Lord. This time frame is the fifth bowl in the 13th year, the time that we are in right now, and when the events of the son of perdition happen. So this is within the 42 months since he said, after 42 months after he said, I'm the chosen one, the second coming of God.
That was the blasphemy that triggered the 42 months of Revelation 13. The beast had his power 42 months. Now our key words here in Ezekiel 32 that lead us to Ezekiel 19 are net and pit. They are the words that in the prophecy that lead to the son of perdition's detention. The nations heard of him, and he was taken in their pit, and he brought him in chains into the land of Egypt. And the Septuagint says they led him in a wicker cage to the land of Egypt. And they assailed him and with the nations in the place, and they spread forth their nets in the corruption he was seized. So we saw nets in Ezekiel 32, and we saw pits in Ezekiel 32, and we also see nets in Ezekiel 19. We see a lion, Ezekiel 19. We also see chains in Ezekiel 19. And they put him in a cage, even a wicker cage, and they led him to the king of Babylon, and they brought him into prison. So now we can see clearly that when the 42 months are concluded, we are watching what could happen. It could be that there was an assassination on the Antichrist because the events of Purim and the book of Esther basically talk about Haman will be assassinated, he will be killed at one point. But what would happen? Ezekiel 19, connect our words net, young lion, pit, hook, chains to each other, and we can actually see the Antichrist is taken to prison on this time frame, okay, of the conclusion of the 42 months. So pit here is abyssos. Abyssos also does come up in the Septuagint in Ezekiel 31.
All right, guys. Once again, we see the prophecy doesn't fail. So amazingly, through Daniel's timeline, through the book of Esther, Daniel's timeline, we've seen 4 fulfillments. In the book of Esther, we've seen 4 fulfillments of specific times we are watching for prophecy be fulfilled, and it is fulfilled once again. We see the hooks, the chains on the son of perdition, just like we see the chain on the old serpent, the dragon, okay? We know that's going to happen to the dragon, the Satan. It also happens to the scarlet-colored beast, the Antichrist, son of perdition. Now, we get the information, as we've clearly shown, in Ezekiel 19, which gives us more insight. And, guys, this is part of our playlist. Trump is the Antichrist, okay? Most of you watching this know this, but the details of what we've discussed previously and the counting of the 42 months and everything else you can see in that playlist, okay? We'll have you can go to the website, lelandjones.com. You can go to course, I think it's 3, the trumpets. Trump is the Antichrist, at which point you'll see the list of the playlist or the showcase, and you'll see Trump is the Antichrist, and you could see this is part of that series. So we get another fulfillment. Very, very exciting. And we conclude each video with a voice came from the throne saying, "Praise our God, all you his servants that fear his name, both small and great."